Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show on Hamilton Radio. Today's a little bittersweet for us here, so this will be the closing show in this location, and we will be doing shows next week in our new location. So, yay for Hamilton Radio. What do you think?
Yay!
All right. So, everyone and anyone out there who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass, guys, because 31 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 31 years later, I can honestly say I'm a smartass. You know, we've got to start looking at addiction differently. I need everyone out there to know this. It's very, very important. Stop listening to the lies. You are not powerless, not over anything, okay? You got to give it all to God. And I did 31 years ago, and here I am. So having said that, I want everybody out there to know that you're not alone, and there's always someone listening. I'm a nutritional health coach. I'm a recovery coach. And yes, all my services to you are free. Please, please reach out. I will talk to you. If anyone thinks my book can help someone, which I do, anyone, friend, family member, okay, please go to Simon & Schuster, Archway Publishing Bookstore. Also, please go to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel and subscribe. A lot of great and incredible things are happening. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, that is my Elvis. So having said that, I'm not the only one who thinks I'm a comedian. I've got someone here who thinks he is too.
I think I am anyway.
So Allan GITLIN, say hello to everyone.
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you, Geri, for having me on the show today.
This is cool. So the G-Man, you're the G-Man.
I'm the G-Man, yes. It's a tribute to my dad, who died on the morning of 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Not in it, just he happened to be in the hospital a couple of days, and he passed away at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I saw the second plane hit from a funeral home, which was really a bad day for us, as it was for everybody, but really a bad day for us, his family.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I didn't think we were going to open up sad.
Well, it just came out. It's,
No,
you know.
listen, I'm really sorry to hear that, sweetie. So, Allan GITLIN, tell everyone a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. Well, let's start about, if anybody told me 20 or 30 years ago that I'd be an actor and a comedian and a podcast host, I would have told them they were nuts.
Okay.
Because in high school I was a very quiet kid. I didn't say a lot to a lot of people, but they knew me. But I was very quiet, and I grew late. I wrestled in high school at 5'3", 110 pounds, and I'm now about 6'3", 220. I grew late, I matured late, and I didn't get into the acting and comedy business till I was about 45 years old, something like that. And I won't tell my age now, but I'm 69. Anyway.
You should be proud of your age.
Yeah,
listen,
I am.
Right?
Yeah, I started my career late, but I went to Caroline's Comedy School, and was 10 weeks, one night a week for 2 hours. We were taught by a great comedy writer named Liz Smith, who they can't really tell you you're not funny. They try to critique your writing and get you used to stage time. But as anybody who's an entertainer knows, if you're not on stage all the time, it's quite hectic. I almost got thrown out of every class because Liz Smith, who was teaching us, was supposed to critique our writing, and I was critiquing everybody's writing. And she kept saying, "Allan, shut up, I'm going to throw you out of here because I'm supposed to do that and you're doing my job." And funny story, though, as funny as I am, we had a showcase at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City, and there was roughly 200 people at the first show and 200 people at the second show. And we were all going over material before the show, and I was listed as fourth. And she comes up to me and she says, "Alan, I got some good news and some bad news for you."
Okay.
And I said, "Liz, give me the bad news first." She said, "The other three people didn't show up."
Uh-oh.
And I said, "Okay, give me the good news." She says, "You're first." And my jaw hit the floor.
Wait, first and only.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the other comedians came up to me and said, "You have a joke that's very similar to mine, and if you do it, my whole act's going to go out the window." So me being a nice guy, I say, "Okay, I won't do that joke." And I get up on stage, and I'm about 2.5 minutes into a 5-minute act, and I realize I can't do that joke. And everything went out of my head.
I have a question because
Go
I'll
ahead.
forget to ask you.
Go ahead.
How do the other comedians know what jokes you're going to be doing?
Well, we went through our act beforehand in class.
okay.
The last class.
So hold on. Then I have another question about it. Did he say that joke as well?
He said something similar.
So you didn't have a problem with him saying it.
No, but he had a problem with me for some reason. I don't know why.
Continue. I just had it.
So that's okay.
Yes.
So I totally, the rest of my act went blank when I realized I couldn't tell that joke.
But I would have told it then.
So I didn't tell it. And one of the people that was in the second showcase said, "Just go with it." And the rest of my act came back. But it was the longest 5 minutes of my life. I think I lost about 12 pounds in 5 minutes.
So that was 5 minutes, but seemed forever, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Did
On
you
stage
want to
by
whack
myself.
him?
Yeah, I kind of did afterwards, yeah, but I wouldn't do it. And
oh my gosh.
as wacky as I am, before the class ended, I went to everybody. I had a friend of mine who used to own a small plaque store, and he's since passed away, and trophy shop. And I said, "Let's get her a plaque with everybody's name on it and put Best Comedy School Teacher of the Year."
Okay.
And I put it behind my back, and after the second showcase, I gave it to her, and she broke down crying because nobody ever thought about doing that. And she had written for Letterman and Leno at one time.
Very
very
cool.
Yeah,
Now
she was
that's
very cool.
impressive.
That's a cool story. Yeah, it's a true
Yes.
story. And from that, I got into a little bit of acting, which I had gotten into when I started doing some acting and comedy when I was much younger, when I was in my 20s. My mother was in a flea market, and the two guys next to her, they kept saying, "You're a nice-looking young man. You're pretty good shape." And I'm like, "Nah, yeah, okay, whatever." And they said, "We have a friend of ours who does pictures. Would you consider doing it?" And they kept bugging me. And after like a year, I said, "Okay, you know what, guys? Give me the guy's name." And I went to him, and he charged me like $500. He did some pictures. I did a few things, and then I got a full-time job, and I got married, and I had kids, and my career kind of went on a
On hold.
sidetrack. Yeah. And then I got divorced, and I went to the comedy school, and I started getting into a little bit of acting a little bit. And one of the first things I did, which was really pretty cool and a really good story, is that I did the first commercial for the XFL. Where, they had partnered with WWE and Stacker 2. And there were 12 of us from the same agency who went. They wanted guys over 6 feet and over 200 pounds. So there was 12 of us. We went up in a van at 6 o'clock in the morning to Rockland County, New York.
Okay.
And we got there, and there was a 35-page waiver from Mr. Vince McMahon of the WWE that he had made up with his lawyers. And they said, "We have to sign this." And I said to one of the guys, "What happens if you don't sign it?" And they said, "Well, we take you right back to New York, and you'll be out of the commercial." And the commercial paid $2,000. So
Per person?
yeah.
Okay.
So we all signed it. And there's some stories about that, too. I mean, this is 20 years ago. So they ran out of film in the middle of it, and they had to go back into New York, which is an hour away, and get film. We had an hour and a half lunch, something like that, 2-hour lunch that day. And
Because things were very different
yeah,
back
it was
then.
different, right? It was actually tape.
But, okay,
tape.
but I have a stupid question.
Go
I
ahead.
mean, how could they run out of it?
We don't know why they didn't
Okay,
bring
go
more
ahead.
tape.
I mean,
We
that
have-
was
We have
dumb.
no idea why they didn't bring more
Okay.
tape. And China, the wrestler, if anybody follows wrestling, and X-Pac were in a drunken stupor, and they didn't show up, and they got fired for that, because when Vince McMahon says you have to be somewhere, you have to be there. And they had to dub Dick Butkus in at the end of that commercial. And it took us 10 months to get paid, because Vince McMahon wouldn't sign off on the checks, and we all came from this one small agency, and she said, "I don't have 25 grand to lay out. It'll kill my business." This is going back in, the 80s. So we waited 10 months for a check from Vince McMahon.
Okay, another stupid question. I
Yeah.
mean, why not?
We don't know why he didn't.
Okay.
We have no idea. She didn't know either.
And he never said it's coming in 9 months?
No,
Or...
nope.
That's not cool.
Well, you know, he's got a lot of money, so I guess he doesn't like to let it go.
No, that
too
wasn't
often.
cool. But
Yeah.
all right.
So, and then I was in right after that, not too long after that.
Oh, wait, I have a question.
Yeah,
All right, so, because I'll forget, so that's why I'm interrupting you.
that's okay.
When you first went into comedy school, comedy
Right,
class,
right,
right? Whatever
right,
you called it.
Correct.
They deliberately told you weren't funny to see how you would react to that?
No, everybody has their own sense of humor, so they just try to critique your writing and try to make your jokes funnier,
Okay.
and really try to get you used to stage time. But if you're, like I said, if you're not on stage all the time, yeah, you know, if I haven't been on stage now in about 5 years.
Okay.
And if I went up by myself, I probably would be just like the first time all over again. If I went up with
Oh.
somebody else, you know, as a two-man act, it might be different. But by myself, I think I'd be all nervous all over again like I was the first time.
Oh,
know.
okay. All right, continue.
So I was in a commercial for a show called Investigative Reporter. It was shot in Seton Hall University. It was shown on A&E Cable. It was with Joan London and this gentleman, Bob Smith.
Okay.
And there's a story behind that. It's kind of funny, actually, and it's a good one. First of all, Joan London's a very nice, very pretty lady. They had one take where they couldn't get it right, and they must have done it about 35 or 40 times. And she stood up and she said, "I just want you to know that us professionals stink, and you extras are great." And I just thought that was so cool that she would do that. You know, I just thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
You know, for somebody to admit that they were having problems with this set, you know, and just couldn't get it right. You know. One of the other things I did, I was in The Bounty Hunter with Jennifer Aniston and Bradley Cooper.
That's cool.
And if you blink, you miss me. But there was a scene they did at Monmouth Park when the horses weren't racing, and they wanted people to look like a crowd. And I was like 2 or 3 rows behind Jennifer Aniston and Bradley Cooper. And there was one scene after lunch. I don't know what they did at lunchtime, if they went to a bar or I don't know what they did. But it was something like, "Don't stop chasing me." And she couldn't remember that line. And I don't know what happened lunchtime with the two of them, but that was...
Remembered?
No, it took her 35 takes to remember that line.
That one line?
Yeah. We have no idea what went on during lunchtime. Did they go to a bar? Did they go to a motel? I don't know.
Oh, gotcha.
We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know what went on there. But it took an awful long time for that one little line, you know. So that was pretty cool. Then I lived in Florida for a couple of years, and I did a show called Disappeared about a lady who wanted to go on a ship, a boat, and sail around the world. And she came from Cleveland, Ohio, and she moved to Florida, and she got a job in Fort Lauderdale. And she saw an ad in the paper about this gentleman who wanted to sail around the world. And she answered the ad, and they became lovers. And she sold all her possessions, and they set off to go around the world on this boat,
Okay.
on his boat,
Okay.
on his yacht, actually. And a couple of months later, she disappeared. Her children started looking up this guy online, found out that he was a criminal.
But this isn't a true story,
No,
is
this
it?
is true, yeah, yeah.
Continue.
And so her children couldn't get a hold of her. So they started really researching this guy, and they found out he had been in prison for smuggling drugs, and everything that he had was smoke and mirrors. And they finally contacted him at one of the ports that he was in with his boat. And he said that they had an argument, and that his mother just stormed off without him. And he didn't really know where she was. But they think, after looking into this a little bit, that he might have killed her, rolled her up in a blanket or something, or a rug, and thrown her in the middle of the ocean.
Okay.
And he had copies of her credit cards and all that, and people were taking money out of her accounts, women, they were caught on tape, and he was giving them money to take money out of there. But every time they had tracked him down, he was in a port where there was no restitution, and then he finally sold the boat, and the lady was never found. It's
To this day?
To this day, yeah. And it was shown on NBC in Chicago. I didn't actually see it, but I know it was shown on NBC in Chicago.
This was supposed to be a comedy show. You were supposed to
Yeah.
make me laugh. He's making me cry.
I'll tell you about some of my acting stuff.
No, that's
But-
cool. I'm being funny.
But I am an observation comedian. So,
Okay, so What is an observation comedian? I know what the word means, but I never really heard it being put in that.
An observation comedian is sort of like Seinfeld. It's you observe things that people don't pay attention to. Like Ford used to have a commercial that the Ford Explorer is the best-selling SUV on the planet. Do I have a
Okay.
question? Do we sell SUVs on other planets? No.
Oh, wow.
But you didn't pay attention to that.
No.
Or GMC has a commercial that their trucks are professional grade. What were they before? Unprofessional? You know, so I pick on commercials and things I see every day, and
That's pretty cool, though.
you know, like, you know, gas is here $3.99.9. Really, it's $4. Who are you bullshitting here?
Right.
You know,
Like, yes, exactly.
it's really $4. Come on.
$9.99. Yeah, give me
Yeah,
a break.
come on, it's $10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff I pick up on. You know.
But
or-
wait, I have something to tell you real quick
Yeah.
about Australia because I go there a lot, and so I have a lot of friends there. So we go into the stores, they take me. You know, I want to see how they live. You know what I
Right.
mean? And here's what's funny about that: their items will say $9.99, but they don't give pennies back. So you know you're paying that $10.
Right.
But they still have it posted as $9.99.
Well, recently I was at a Quick Check, and after you
Talk a little closer there.
recently I was at a Quick Check, and all the express lanes are full, so you have to go to the regular lane, where a regular person is. And there's a sign that says, "You must have exact change." We have no change. Wait a minute. So if I buy something for $2 and I have a $5 bill, I can't get any change back, or $2.50, I can't get change back. It doesn't make sense. But they don't put it on the front door. They put it right at the register, so you already have your item that you went in there for. You know, like if you went in for soup
How
or
is
something.
that legal? I never heard of that.
They do it though. Some Quick Checks have that.
Okay.
It's weird. So of course I
Smart.
pick up on this stuff.
Okay.
Most people don't though. So I've been in a couple of music videos as an extra, which is what I like to do.
Okay.
And there's a story about why I want to be an extra.
Okay, so why do you want to be an extra?
Well, you know, the dream of being a star is a nice dream to have, but there's 9,000 actors, and 8,000 are starving. So I say, have some fun, make a little money. You never know who you meet along the way, and that's my motto. And
And you're sticking to it.
that's right. And I patterned my career after Scatman Crothers, and I'll explain to you who Scatman Crothers is.
Okay.
Scatman Crothers was a jazz musician in the 30s and 40s, and a black gentleman and good jazz musician. And one of his friends came to him and said, you know, my friend is making a movie, and he needs somebody to do a 3-minute part as a butler. Would you do it? And he said, yes, I'll do it. And from that, Scatman Crothers was in 150 films to the day he passed away in 1999.
Was he extras in all of them?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
He made a career out of being an extra, and I patterned my career after him.
That's cool.
You know, he worked, and when he wasn't working, he would be playing in a jazz club. You know, when he wasn't in a movie, he'd be working in, and he's in a lot of movies. He's in Throw Mama from the Train. He's in Blazing Saddles. You know who he is if you saw him, but you never knew his name.
That's cool.
If you look him up on Google or whatever, you'll see,
Yep.
you'll go, oh my God, I know who this guy is, but you never knew his name. He was in
Interesting.
movies for a couple of minutes here and there, and he made a living out of that. They used to call his agent for these small little extra parts.
That's pretty cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and he made a living out of it and had fun with it. And that's what I have fun in every set that I go on. I let everybody know who I am. They know who I am. I give out my cards. I talk to everybody.
No, not you.
No, not me. No, not me. No, I'm shy. But I was. But I was in a couple of music videos. Mania Neo. I was called Lost Ones. I was a police officer in that. And big one was Lil TJ, who's a famous rapper now. He was up and coming when I was in it. And the song is FNN music video.
Hold that thought right there. So, have you reconnected with him?
No, but I have a story about it.
Okay, go ahead.
So I played a judge in it,
Uh-oh.
and he was sitting in the witness box, and he's supposed to get off. That's part of the song. And I said, hey, little TJ, you're talking to everybody but the judge, man. And he's like, you're freaking nuts. And I've just had a good time with it. You know, I just really had a good time with it. And the reason why I get to know everybody on the set, and I explained this to somebody on one of the shows I was on, one of the sets I was on, and I have my acting cards, and I have now I have my podcast,
Yeah, I love that.
which I'll
Yes,
explain a little
yes.
bit.
And you won't interview me, but continue.
Yes, but we don't have it. Well, we'll explain. I'll explain that later. But anyway, she can yell at me about that. But anyway, so I explained to this guy that
How many times do I have to tell you to get closer?
I don't know. So I
Better.
explained to this guy that I give out my cards and talk to everybody because who are their friends? If they're making a commercial or a movie, who are their friends? People that make commercials or movies or whatever. And they could be in a bar talking to their friends, and they could say, you know what, we're looking for an older guy, not that I'm that old, but, you know, an older gentleman, and somebody might have my card and take it out and say, hey, you know, this guy was in our commercial or a movie, we liked him, he talked to everybody, you know, give him a call. Could it happen? Yeah. It could happen a lot better for me than you that didn't give him anything, you know. So I'm a network guy. I network with a lot of people.
Right.
Matter of fact, that's how I got on this show. Thanks to my friend Mike Wagner, who I've been friends with for a long time.
Mike Wagner, let's give him a shout out. How you doing, baby?
All right, Mike.
So, real quick about Mike. So, Mike and I hooked up last year sometime, and he had me on his already, and we had 3 set up for here. We had to cancel a couple of them, so I can't wait to finally interview Mike. That's coming up.
And Mike's a great guy, and I've been friends with him for about 4 or 5 years through somebody else. And we become very good friends, me and Mike, and a few other people that we all kind of connected through this other gentleman who, unfortunately, none of us really connected to anymore. But we became good friends.
Love you, Mike.
And Mike's a great guy.
So, continue.
Okay, so after this little TJ commercial, music video, I was in a commercial for AT&T. They came out with a phone for delivery men and construction workers. And it was right half hour from my house, paid pretty good. So for 1 hour, I wasn't complaining. And it's on their website, XTRA phone that they brought out with.
Hold it. I have another question.
Go ahead.
Do they ever let you just improv? Do they ever let you just, you know, be silly and make fun of the product in a great way?
Not in a straight commercial like that for AT&T, no.
Okay.
In some movies, they, depending on the director, they might let you improvise a little bit, as
Okay.
long as you get the point across.
Okay.
Some people want it exactly the way it's written, but sometimes the way you write things and the way it comes out is
Right.
2 different things.
Right.
So some people say, listen, as long as you get the point across, I don't care what you say, just get the
Okay.
point across.
I love that. And
You
you
know,
know
yeah.
what? We can tell when it happens because
Yeah.
other people will like start laughing and you could tell that it's real.
Correct. And just because you write something doesn't mean it's going to come out the
Right,
same way
right,
you
right.
write it, you know.
Okay.
So,
Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but
That's
I don't
okay.
want to forget these
No,
silly
it's okay.
questions.
and my latest thing is I met a guy on a train 4 years ago. He was coming back from California, and I was coming back from seeing a relative of mine who I was very, very close to, who unfortunately was dying at the time. We met on the train in Chicago, and there's a really cool story about that. It's a funny story.
Okay.
We met on the train. We didn't know each other. We were waiting for the train to go into New York in the Chicago train station. And there was a Chinese guy that was running around the train station. I got to get on this train. I can't miss this train. And he's going on. And he's driving everybody nuts, and including the people at Amtrak. And they finally said to him, listen, we'll tape this box. He had a box. He had a box in a box, and it wasn't taped up, and they wouldn't let it on the train. So they tape it up for him, and we all get on the train. He ends up in our car. And I didn't know my partner in this podcast now, Steph, at the time. There was a bunch of people from New York and New Jersey hanging out. We were all hanging out together, and he was one of them. And we were talking and laughing and telling jokes and, you know, where you're from and what do you do and all this stuff. And around 11 o'clock at night, we're in Cleveland, Ohio, and I have to go to the bathroom. And I walk into the bathroom, and it reeks of marijuana. I mean, reeks. Like,
Okay.
there's really no place for it to go on a train, really. I mean, so I go back and tell everybody. And the Chinese guy is sitting in the back of the car with the conductor. And I go back and tell the people I was with, and they're all laughing like, what an idiot, who would do that? Because there's no place for it to go. And we woke up the next morning, and we're pulling into Buffalo, New York, and the conductor, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, conductor gets on the PA and says, the Border Patrol is doing a spot check of IDs. And we're like, okay, we don't know.
Right.
And we pull into Buffalo, and there's the Border Patrol, there's Homeland Security,
Uh-oh.
there's the Buffalo Police, and Amtrak Police waiting for us.
That's because of the pot.
Well, and so here's what happens. So we get off, and we notice no other car is getting off but us, and there's only about 20 of us on this car. And they check a couple IDs, and they tell everybody to get back on, except for the Chinese guy. He's not getting back on, and they're taking his luggage and his box off. And we pull out, and we get to Albany, and they have a 20-minute rest area where you can stretch your legs and have some decent food, because the food on the train is not that great.
Okay.
And as we're getting off, the conductor says, you know what happened to that guy? We go, no, what happened? They arrested him, and we said, what for? In that box that the Amtrak lady had taped up for him was a 3-pound brick of marijuana.
Get out.
And of course, this is 4 years ago, so it was a federal offense. He went from Illinois to Ohio, and now he's in New York. That's a federal offense. So if he hadn't smoked a joint the night before, a couple of joints, whatever, he probably would have got away with it.
Right.
Apparently, somebody in New York was waiting for that 3-pound brick in maybe Chinatown, and they didn't get it. They weren't too happy, I'm sure.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's a kind of funny story. And we became friends. My partner and I became friends. He's been a YouTuber for a while, and he interviewed me a couple of times, and we came up with a podcast now called The BS Show, which is on my shirt.
The BS Show.
Yeah.
So wait, can I ask you about that?
Okay.
So why aren't you going to interview me? Let's hear it.
Because we don't interview anybody.
Okay, believe this?
I carried most of the show most of the time. We've developed 4 or 5 segments on our own. We don't copy anybody. We're originators, we're not duplicators.
What's it about?
It's comedy. It's a little bit about politics, a little bit about everyday life. We have segments like Idioms for Idiots or Idiots for Idioms. If you know what an idiom
I love
is.
that. Yeah, yeah.
We, in case you don't know what an idiom is, it's like step on a crack, break your mother's back. How does that equate? Why would you want to break your mother's back? And if you're in Chicago and she's in New York, how's that going to break her back? So we analyze those, about 15 a week. Then we have Everyday Annoyances, which is my observation of things that happened. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was in the Jersey Mike's, and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I order a sandwich, and the sandwich comes to $8.90, and I give the girl $10, and she says, we don't have any dollar bills. I have to give you back $1.10 in dimes. I thought to myself, wait a minute, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. How do you not have dollar bills? So I thought to myself, well, what happened if I give you $25 for that sandwich? I would have got the rest of the change in quarters.
Did you ask her that?
No, but I was just thinking that.
I would have asked
But I was
her
thinking
that.
though, But this is something that I paid attention to, and as soon as I got in my car, I wrote it down. Like, I didn't want to forget it. So I typed it in my phone real quick for the show. So we have everyday annoyances like that, things that you see every day that annoy you, that people don't pay attention to. We have, I've been on and off dating online for about 10 years. I have 7 pages of stories.
That's funny.
And I call it online dating nightmares, and which they are nightmares, some of them. First dates, third dates, no dates, whatever. Somebody catches you on a site that you saw them on, and they don't want to be with you because they caught you on the site, but they were on the site. Does that make any sense?
Can I tell a quick online
ahead.
dating
Go
site
ahead.
story? Because
Go
this
ahead.
is
Go
better
ahead.
than all your stories.
No, I can't.
Want to bet?
I got one I can't.
All right, let's bet.
Okay.
If mine's better, you have to interview me.
Okay.
All right, so. Okay, so years ago, probably 11, 12 years now, okay? My boyfriend passed away, and we actually grew up together. And that part of it's very sad because we reconnected, and he passed away. Okay, so anyway, my dumb daughter decides, because she has all my passwords, because she set me up with everything, even my AOL, with everything, okay? She decides she's putting me on a dating site. And at the time, I think it was POF, Plenty of Fish, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I come over her house, and she says, Mom, I have to tell you something. Don't be upset with me. She goes, I really don't want you to be lonely, and I put you on a dating site. And, of course, I'm like, you're nuts, right? She says, well, let me show you the profile. Well, the profile is hysterical because I'm vegan, I owned a poker league at the time. So I'm a poker player, I'm vegan, I'm a Christian. She had all this stuff. I cracked up laughing and I said, okay, so nobody is going to be able to be with me. Okay, so they have to learn how to play poker. They have to not eat meat, and they have to be a Christian. Forget it. Well, we laughed about it, and that was the end of it. I never went on the site, never thought anything of it, and actually thought I was no longer on the site maybe, right? Okay. So maybe a year goes by, and I'm online doing my thing, and I get a private message on Facebook saying, please listen to me. I have to tell you something very important. And it was a gentleman, and he showed me his business card, and he was a realtor from like an hour away. And I said, okay, can I help you? And he said, no, but I think I can help you. He said, you're on a porn site. And he said, and yes, I do go on them, and that's how I saw it. But the reason I know you don't know it is because you're dressed in a red shirt, sitting there smiling. That was the photo my daughter used. But the photo above you and below you,
It's not you, obviously.
no, it was different. It was different people on it, but they were completely naked. He said, so I know you don't know your. I start screaming, oh my God, no, I have a poker league if these young guys see, oh my God. He says, go on FaceTime with me, and I don't know how to do that. So he got me on like a Zoom or whatever, or whatever it was
FaceTime,
back
whatever.
then.
Yeah.
He said, just please trust me. He said, and thank God for this guy. He gives me a number while I'm on this Zoom thing or whatever it was with him, gives me a number to call them. And this is what they said. A lot of people don't know this, but once you're put on one of these, they can put you on any site they want because no one read the fine, writing. And I'm screaming at them, and they're like, okay, we will block you from all of it. So they did. So here I'm sitting, but wait, listen. Here I'm sitting in the middle of two females, and I'll tell you after the show what they were doing, and that's how he knew. And wasn't that nice of him to get in touch with
Yes.
me?
But it doesn't beat my story.
Okay.
So I meet a lady online, on that site actually that you're talking about,
Okay.
from New York City. And I don't really date too many people because it's, it just doesn't work for some reason. But I said, you know what? She looks like a nice lady. And she says, I don't really talk on the phone. I want to meet you. Okay. So I said, pick out a place. She tells me she lives on 72nd and 1st Avenue, not too far from Central Park. So I figure, I'm meeting this really upscale woman.
Did you ask for her license? And
No, I believed her.
Go
I
ahead.
believed her. So I said, pick out a restaurant. We'll have lunch, and I'll hang out with you during the day. So I didn't check out the restaurant until that morning. I found out that I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegetarian. So I found out that a cheeseburger was $37. Lunch cost me $110, but that's besides the point. Okay. And she was a very pretty woman. She was she looked like Anne Margaret, actually.
Oh, I love Aunt Margaret.
She actually looked like Anne Margaret, and she was built like Anne Margaret. And so we're walking down First Avenue, and COVID had just started then. So some people were wearing masks, some people weren't. And anyway, and we'll get back to that in a couple of seconds. So she sees a coat in this window in this little boutique. And she said, would you mind if I go and look in at the coat? It's a full length down to her ankles. And I said, no problem. I'm a pretty easy going guy. So I let her go in the store, and I go in with her. And she says to the lady, how much is that coat? And the lady says, $540.
Okay.
And she says, I'll give you $500 right now. The lady says, listen, the coat's $540. And she says to her, well, I'll give you $500 right now. The lady says, listen, this is not a flea market. The coat is $540. She said, well, can I try the one on that's in the window? She said, listen, it's not going to fit you because your bust is too big. And you'll be able to button it up until there, and you won't be able to. I want to try it on. She insists. So the lady says, okay. She tries it on, gets to right about the middle of her chest.
Like the lady said.
Like the lady said, and she can't button it up. So she says to the lady, did you have one in my size, a little bigger? She said, yes, I had one. It's sold. It's in the back. Well, can you tell a lady who bought it this morning that it has a stain on it, and I'll give you $500 for it right now?
Okay.
The lady says, do me a favor, get out of my store right now. So we walk out of the store.
Did she take the coat off? Because I'm
Yes,
waiting
she
for you to
did.
tell
Yes,
me
she
that
did. No,
took
she took the
with
coat off. No, she wasn't getting that coat out the door.
her. All right, go ahead.
So we walked to Central Park, And there were people at the time, because COVID had just started, some people were wearing masks, some people, and she's yelling at people, why aren't you wearing a mask? And she's screaming at them, and it's getting crazy. And then we get to Central Park, and she's doing the same thing. And then we hang out at Central Park for a while, and it's kind of getting kind of nasty out, overcast, and so we decided to go back to her apartment, which is on the 25th floor in this building. And her husband had died 5 years before in a car accident.
Okay.
And he was much older than her, like 15 years older than her.
Okay.
And he was a medic in the Korean War. And she starts bringing out all his medals and all this. And I said to her, by the way, you seem like a really nice lady. You're very pretty, built very nice, somewhat of a personality, a little nutty, but, you know, whatever.
A little crazy.
Yeah. Why are you still on the site? And she says, well, you know, I was seeing this guy, and I found out that he was married after 6 months of seeing him. He's supposedly a millionaire in Philadelphia, and I don't want to be with anybody like that, but we're still friends with benefits.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, whatever. And then it gets a little more weird. We're still talking. I think we called out for dinner. I'm trying to get, like, I got to get out of here, but whatever.
So what was dinner? 2000?
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. No, it wasn't bad. And so right after dinner, we're talking. She said, oh, you seem like a really nice guy. I'd like to get to know you. And next words out of her mouth was, would you like a Xanax? I left not too shortly after that.
Okay. Good for you.
Now, the next day, she wanted me to come into the city again. And I just didn't feel good. It was a Sunday. I was watching the Giants. I'm a Giant fan. And I just didn't feel good. And I sent her a text saying, listen, I know you like to see me again, but I really don't feel good. You know, I'm watching a Giant game, but I don't have the sound on. I'm just kind of laying here. And
Was it the Xanax?
I don't know what it was. It was just trying to, I guess, figure out the whole day, I guess, that I was with her, because it was really strange. And so the next morning, instead of saying, like, how you feeling, she sends me a text saying, why did you ghost me yesterday? Why did you not pay attention to me yesterday? So I said, you know what? You want to know, lady? So I lay out the whole date for her. Okay. And I said, listen, before you can be with anybody else, you need to work on yourself. I got a text from her about 5 hours later saying that, thank you for being so honest with me. So that was the craziest date I've ever been on in my life. And yours doesn't beat it.
No, mine does, because I was on a porn site and didn't even know it.
But I was actually on a date, though, with a crazy lady who I didn't know. So you know, I've written a script also. I had a partner, but he stepped away. And the script is about a detective living now, private detective, who's a cross between Columbo and James Bond.
Okay.
And he uses no technology, no cell phone, no nothing.
Okay.
Lives in the same house he grew up in. Eats breakfast most days in the same place. He lives with his childhood sweetheart.
Okay.
He's Columbo because he figures stuff out by his gut. And he's James Bond because he's betting everything in sight, including his secretary. Okay. And his girlfriend of his high school sweetheart knows about his extra stuff, and sometimes she partakes in it also. Okay. So I call it old school, new school twists.
Okay, I like that.
And I'm a big Law and Order person, and I've seen most of them. And I loved it when Jerry Orbach was in it because he always had a dumb line. So it's a drama detective story with comedy in every episode. There's 8 episodes written. I have a friend in Chicago that has a small studio, and hopefully we're going to have a trailer made. We have actors in place. We had them in place before COVID, and they're waiting to hear when we're going to do it. So that's really it's been sitting for about 5 years, and I developed the whole story.
Get going with it, man.
Well, there's 5 main characters, and I have a backstory to all of them.
Okay.
And it was all my idea. And
Very cool.
Just have fun with it, and and now it's the BS show, and I've pretty much co-created most of the segments with my partner Steph, and we have Everyday Annoyances, like I said, Idioms for Idiots. We have Online Dating Nightmares, and we have 15 Minutes of Shame, which is more about politics, kind of how we feel about what's going on in the world and in our states. Both he lives in New York, so we have we've created those ourselves, and we've done 60 shows. We're doing number 61 tomorrow, actually. And we have to thank a friend of mine, Craig P., who let us use his office at 77 Water Street, 35th floor. And then I'm hopefully going to be possibly in a series which I can't really talk about too much, but it's maybe on Bravo in the near future. So it's something like The Bachelor, but I can't say too much about it right now.
Okay. And is there a title for it? I know you can't say it, but is there one?
Yes, there is a title, yes. It's supposedly very big in England right now, and they're bringing it to the United States.
Well, wait. If it's in England now, why
Yeah.
can't we talk about the title?
I guess we could, I don't know.
Because it's not like it's not out.
Yeah, that's true. So it's called 5 Guys a Week. It's about older person and similar to Bachelor, but not the same.
Wait, 5 guys a week?
Yeah. So it's one woman who kind of is with 5 guys for a couple of days, I guess each guy for a day or two, and then she decides who she really wants to be with. That's the
Okay.
gist of it.
But, okay.
So I'm going to be one of the 5 guys, it looks
So
like.
you're going to be one of the 5 guys?
Well, I made it through 5 of the 6 stages so far, so I'm pretty sure I'm
That's
going to be
pretty
on
funny.
it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So
And when might that come here, or you don't know?
I don't know. They're going to shoot it probably at the end of April, and I don't know when it's going to come out, to be honest with you.
Is there going to be comedy in it?
I'm sure there will be some,
Okay.
and I will bring some out anyway if there isn't.
Yeah.
I will try to bring some out, you know.
We need to.
Yes. Well,
So what else do you have on your cheat sheets?
my cheat sheets. Well, I was setting up a comedy duo before COVID and before Black Lives Matters with a black gentleman. He was going to be Frank White, and I was going to be Willie Black.
I love it.
And I wrote all the bits. We had a guy who I came in contact with, Greg Parker. He's a comedian in Virginia, and he does acts in Atlantic City. And we made a 5-minute CD for him, and he loved it. And of course, COVID hit and Black Lives Matters hit. But one of the bits is that I'm Jewish, and so he asked me, what do Jewish people do on Christmas Day? And I say, well, we go to the movies and eat Chinese food. And I said, what do you do as a black man? And he said, we rob your house while you're at the movies and eating Chinese food. So that was the gist of it. We were going back and forth because All in the Family and Good Times and Sanford and Son, you know, they were right on the edge, but they were funny. And people didn't get offended. So why can't you do that now?
Isn't it crazy?
You know? And that's the type of humor that I was bringing out. You know, like I had another bit where I said to him, where you call us crackers. Am I a Ritz cracker or a Clubhouse cracker? And he said, well, you're a Clubhouse cracker because you're white and thin. You know,
That's funny.
So that's the way it was going to be, a banter back and forth to how we see things differently, you know, which I thought was really, you know, a good thing to bring out. Of course, COVID and Black Lives Matters, and now it's like cancel culture. You can't say anything to anybody, you know. But that's my type of humor, you know, and that's what I do.
But that's how we grew up.
Right. And I don't see any reason why we can't be like that
I mean,
now.
Archie Bunker. I
Right.
heard he was married to a black woman or with a black woman for years.
I don't know. I don't know that.
I
But
mean,
he was
I
he was
Googled
funny.
it.
He was just
He was, but I Googled that, and that's what it said, and I was like, so he wasn't racist. I mean, think about it. You know, it's just hard because that's how we grew up, and we don't mean anything bad by any of it.
no. It's comedy. Comedy is made to take you away from the real world for any amount of time, and you can't take it personally. You know, I tell jokes about, and I know jokes about almost every nationality, religion, and it's a joke. You can stereotype anybody.
Right.
You know?
Italians. Tell a funny Italian joke. I love it.
Do I
Come
know
on.
an Italian joke? Let's
Come on,
see.
make
Well,
fun
my
of
kids.
Italians.
Well, my kids are half Jewish and half Italian.
All right, make fun of us.
So what they can't steal, they get wholesale. So, you know, or I call them Jew-ops.
I love it.
They sing
That's
off
funny.
key, you know.
They
But
can't steal, they get
Wholesale, right,
I love it.
right.
Now, I got to tell that joke. You know that, right?
so, you know, I tell jokes about. Listen, I tell jokes about Jewish people. I think they're funny as hell.
Sebastian, he's incredible.
Well, I'm going to tell you one now.
Okay.
What do you call 40 Jewish women in a basement?
I don't know.
A wine cellar.
Yes, I love it. Okay, that's pretty cool.
you know.
Okay. Oh my God.
So, you know, it's a joke. It's meant to laugh at. It's meant to have fun, and that's what comedy's all about. And there's no reason why you should take offense to it, you know.
Right.
There are certain lines.
Unless it's
Yeah,
offensive.
you
I
can't
get
go.
it.
There's certain things you can't. There's a
Right.
line you don't cross.
Right, which I agree with.
You know, but
1000%.
most things are funny. It's you can pick on almost anybody. You
Right.
know, so why do people get offended by it? I don't understand that. You know.
So, tell me one more joke.
Let's see.
Come on,
I
put
know-
you on
I
the
know so
spot. I
many.
love jokes.
Well, this is a good one. This is
Okay.
a joke for people who have been married a long time, actually.
Okay.
I don't know who told me this joke, but for some reason it stuck in my head. I don't know why. These three guys play golf every Friday for 10 years. And they come home one day, and their wife saying to them, listen, we booked a 2-week vacation at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Okay.
And they go, right, we're going to play golf. And the women say, if you play golf while we're down there, we're coming back on the next flight. We don't care what it costs you. And the guy's like, what are you, nuts? That's the golf capital of the world. Everybody plays golf when they go down there. So they go, listen, guys, at least we're getting away. So they go. And the first week, they're absolutely dying. They're walking by golf course, they're driving, and everybody's playing golf, and they're like, oh, my God, you know, this is killing us. So the second week comes Monday. They get together, the three guys, and they say, listen, we're playing golf Friday. We're booking a 9 o'clock tee time right now. So they book a 9 o'clock tee time, and all three of them show up, and they're talking amongst themselves, how'd you get here? How'd you get here? How'd you get here? And the first guy said, I was smart. I bought my wife a full-length mink coat. She should say I can go play golf.
Okay.
And the second guy says, I was smarter than you. I bought my wife a brand new Porsche Carrera 911 convertible. My wife said I could go play golf. The third guy said, you know what? You're both stupid. Last night I was with my wife in bed, and I said to her, intercourse, a golf course. She said, go play 18 holes.
I love it. Okay, now that's cool. So we've got our idiot producer here with us, putting something up on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. What is that, by the way, on the screen? Look.
Italian that owns an
No,
apartment.
look. This is what we see. Oh, okay, gotcha. So, Ruben, don't go anywhere, because you might have to answer it. Ruben, ask your joke.
Well, actually, it says Italian.
Uh,
It's Italian. I know. I know Italian. I know.
Right, the joke is, what do you call an Italian that owns an apartment?
What do you call an Italian that owns an apartment? I don't know.
A guinea pad.
A guinea
A
pad.
guinea pad. I
Guinea
love
pad.
it. Okay, yes.
Okay.
That's pretty cool, all right?
Okay, I got one for you. I got one for you, Ruben. Why is the grass so high in Mexico?
Because everyone's short.
Everybody's here cutting grass.
Oh, my gosh. That's kind of funny, too. All right. So, listen.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
else would you like everybody out there to know?
Just have fun with life. Enjoy life. Go after your dreams. Don't give up. And just have fun with everything you do. Because that's my motto. With everything I do in the entertainment business, I have fun with it. And if it becomes something, fine. If not, I just want to have a good time. You know.
I agree with that. Beautiful.
You know.
I'm going to read a poem out of my book. And the one that I chose is the stupid one, the funny one, okay? Because I am an ass, okay? And, guys, I'm making fun of myself, okay? Let's understand that first and foremost, okay? So, my book ain't for wimps. This book right here, guys, ain't for wimps. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass is the title of my book. Only if you're not a wimp, open it up and take a look. My book's making headlines, my book's turning heads, my book's causing people to stop taking meds. My book's not for all of you, my book's way too real. If you dare to open it, might cause you to feel. Oh my God, not feelings, because then I might just crack. If I don't numb my brain, there'll be no turning back. My book ain't for wimps, it's not for the weak. My book's for the strong, if being sober you seek. My book ain't for wimps, not for babies who whine. My book ain't for wimps, it's for those with a spine. Don't be a baby, don't be a fool. If you're still using, you just ain't cool. My book ain't for wimps, it's not for the scared. My book ain't for wimps, it's for the despaired. If self-pity you seek, sympathy is your friend, standing on your own 2 feet, nope, on others you depend. You go through life, woe is me, sorrow and pity you prefer, responsibility you refuse to take, your life is now a blur. My book ain't for wimps. It might make you clean unless you continue using and remaining a teen. You ain't the one who has to decide. It's your inner self and your stupid pride. My challenge is this to all who apply. Read my book and get clean. The limit's the sky. Let's not confuse what I got to say. You do have a choice. You should make it today. My book ain't for wimps. Wimps need not apply. The ones that will read it will become naturally high. Guys, again, I'm making fun of myself as well because we do have a choice. You are not powerless. Understand that, and I'm here to help anyone. So I just felt like reading that today.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay?
Very cool poem.
So what else would you like to say? We have a few more minutes. I mean, I don't want you to feel like you forgot to
No,
say anything.
I pretty much said most of the stuff that I wanted to say. And I want to thank Mike Wagner for putting us together.
Very cool, Mike Wagner. We love
Mike,
you, man.
We love you, Mike. Great guy. A good friend of mine. And just have fun with everything you do. You're not alone in this world. There's always somebody who loves you. And reach out to him if you're having a problem. You're going through something that, I went through a bad time in my life. Very dark time in my life for a couple of years. And you find out you're stronger than you think you are. And the situation that you're in, you're not always going to be there forever. Things pass, and you have to realize that. Some people don't, and unfortunately, they take their lives, unfortunately. And that's a terrible thing to do for the people left behind.
Sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And because you're only thinking about yourself, not about the people that are going to be left behind.
Or are they thinking, though? Or are they thinking? This is what I want to say about that real quick. Hold on. My cousin's son, we lost him recently, 32 years old, I believe, 33. Right. And I want to just say this. They're not thinking.
Well,
they're in a state where they're in so much pain that they don't know how to think clear or logically.
Well, they're in a box.
Yeah.
And they can't get out.
That's
but
right.
that box is temporary.
It is temporary.
But they don't see it that way.
They don't see it that way.
They think the only way to get out of it
That's right.
is to take their life.
And that's sad.
That's you're not going to be in that box forever. Whatever you're going through is going to pass, and you're going to get through it.
Right, Alan, that's right.
And I think that's, for the people left behind, it's very difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for hanging out with me
You're
today.
welcome, dear.
I want to thank you for coming in on my show prior with your buddy. I didn't know
well,
you guys knew each other.
Yep, I hadn't seen Mickey in a while, a couple of years.
Mickey Galena, give him a shout.
Yep, very cool.
Okay, so now you guys can reconnect. I think you're awesome.
Thank you, dear.
What's happening is great. The new things that should be coming.
Yep.
So good luck with all that.
Yep.
And again, maybe one day you'll interview me. I don't want to hear that you don't do interviews,
The
okay?
BS show doesn't interview anybody. We
Okay.
carry ourselves, me and Steph.
Here we go, okay? Blah,
My
blah,
partner.
blah. That's all I hear when he talks about that.
And we're on a lot of platforms too.
That's really cool.
Amazon Music, Spreaker, Spotify. There's about 8 or 9 different other sites, and we have some shirts and hats and all kind of stuff on Zazzle. So,
Cool.
just if you want to
Very
support
cool.
us a little bit.
Very cool. So I want to thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For hanging out with us, and what a great interview.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Ruben.
Okay.
Appreciate it, guys.
Ruben, take us out, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
It's really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.